Disagreements are nothing new on the Joe Rogan Experience, but sometimes they escalate into intense, heated arguments that leave both Joe and the audience stunned. One of the most notable clashes occurred in episode number 1267, when two diet specialists with opposing views on nutrition got into a fiery exchange.
You talked for a long time, and I'm going to talk for as long as I want now. Data are very clear on that, Gary. So
No.
Yes, they are. Look, we have data.
We can't say things like that, Stefan, because we're going to disagree on what the data say.
Let's move on.
The tension quickly escalated as the two experts traded subtle jabs and snide remarks. Joe had to intervene multiple times as the argument became increasingly hostile.
Gary, I really continue to get the feeling that you do not understand human energetics, because that's not how it works.
Well, no, I'm just saying 10 calories stored in the fat tissue. That's
10
just
calories,
mathematics.
10 calories.
I didn't say anything about
Gary,
how much you have to eat.
I'm not done.
Okay, no, but you're insulting me,
Gary,
Stefan. You got to stop doing that, dude.
Gary.
You keep acting like you think I'm an idiot.
All right, are you done now?
As voices were raised and interruptions became frequent, Joe finally had to take control.
Are you done?
Can we be clear that we're talking about...
Are you done now?
Can I just finish this?
No, you can't until I am done.
Me without, no,
Gary,
you
have time to respond.
You can respond, write down notes on what you want to respond to, and after he's done, you can talk about
but we're going to get
Now,
into a
look,
long discourse on something that's not the point.
Well, let's find out if it is the point. We don't know what he's going to say.
Thank you. Okay.
Even though the argument never fully reached a resolution, this wasn't the only time Joe had to step in to keep the peace. Another high-tension moment came when Joe debated Matt Walsh about gay marriage. Walsh argued that same-sex marriage threatens traditional marriage as an institution.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve?
Joe pushed back, arguing that a committed, loving gay marriage doesn't affect heterosexual marriages in any way.
If marriage is not what I'm saying it is, then why do we even need it? What's the point? I mean, you're saying it's a man-made institution. We are making the institution meaningless.
But it's not meaningless.
Well, but you
it's
just
very meaningful to the people that have it.
Subjective, symbolic, and it's about your own personal feelings.
Isn't it, though?
Well, no, I would say that it's not.
Well, if it's not subjective and it's not symbolic,
it codifies and protects and gives a name to a thing that actually exists, which are man, woman couples creating people, creating babies.
Joe refused to let the argument slide, challenging Walsh's definition of marriage at every turn.
If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional aspects of it.
Another explosive debate unfolded when Joe sat down with Milo Yiannopoulos, who claimed that societies without a strong Christian heritage suffer from moral decay.
Everywhere that doesn't have a strong Christian heritage is a f***ed up place with bad morals.
That's a ridiculous statement. That's a ridiculous statement. Everywhere that doesn't have Judeo-Christian values is a f***ed up place?
I think that, yes, I think it should be perfectly reasonable, respectable thing to say our culture is better. I believe our culture is better than everywhere else in the world.
Culture of Christians.
I think
Christians that are running around doing ketamine and each other.
European and American culture, which is based on Judeo-Christian values, is better than other cultures. I think it's uncontroversial to say so.
But what's based on Judeo-Christian values about being a good person?
Ultimately, our sense of right and wrong comes from the Bible.
What?
It does.
What comes from the Bible?
Ultimately, our sense of right and wrong comes from the Bible.
Joe was quick to counter the argument that religion is the only source of morality.
Our sense of right and wrong.
I think your sense
of... there's the only way that a person could have ethics and morals and treat each other well.
No, I didn't say the only way.
Don't you think that people understand what's good and what's bad? Listen, if we're going to have a conversation, we can't keep talking over each other like this. When someone's trying to make a point about something that's complex like this, if you think that the only way for a person to have ethics or an understanding of each other or compassion for each other is to rely on ancient myths that are easily scientifically disproven. Well, that's what Christianity is.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the specific set of values that you have is influenced more than you would like to admit by your Judeo-Christian heritage.
It's influenced by
there are certain things that I think all of us...
The discussion took an even more personal turn when it shifted to Milo's sexuality and how it aligned with his religious beliefs.
Being a gay man
that's
promiscuous,
it's what I do.
But that is prohibited in the Bible.
Yes, but I agree that it would be better if I didn't behave like this, and if I could
choose
to be heterosexual, I would do so.
Self-loathing homosexual.
No, and I won't have this.
Because what you're saying is who you are is
no, it's not who
it's
you,
prohibited
it's not
in the
who
Bible.
You are, because I don't think my sexuality is an important component.
It's a huge part of you. You talk about it all the time.
Well,
it's a massive part of what we've talked about on the show.
I think
it comes up anytime you want to make a funny point. It comes up anytime you want to define your sexuality or your urges or your decadence. I think you jump to it because I think it's you.
Joe was visibly baffled by Milo's stance, making for one of the most awkward yet fascinating moments in the show's history. Joe's debate with comedian Adam Conover about transgender athletes in sports was another conversation that quickly became intense.
Sports with trans athletes who are, competing with with their gender, right? That is a sporting world that I'm more interested in. That's my point of view.
Joe fired back, arguing that there's a clear distinction between men's and women's divisions for a reason.
My point of view is that, so if you're a woman and you're a natural woman and you don't take any extra hormones or male hormones, you're not taking steroids or any sort of performance-enhancing drugs, you're doing your very best to compete and you're at the top of the heap. But then someone comes along that was a man for 30 years and decides that they're going to be a woman, and this has happened, and literally transitioned a few months ago, and competes as a woman and destroys records and dominates you in that sport. That's bullshit. And that's not competing on a level playing field. Is as much cheating as taking steroids when the other person doesn't, or taking performance-enhancing drugs when the other person doesn't.
Well, I disagree, and I've.
What do you disagree about?
I've already. Well, my main point being the one that I already made, right? That I don't think that there is such a thing as a perfectly level playing field. I think we decide what kind of playing field we want to have.
Sure, but we do make the distinction where we don't allow men to compete in women's divisions.
And I think that distinction may be breaking down a bit, right? And I think it may be time to break down that distinction a little bit.
So you think that males should be able to compete in the women's division of weightlifting?
No, I don't necessarily. But
they can if they transition.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of stuff to break down.
The conversation grew even more intense when they discussed transgender children receiving hormone therapy.
If you're shooting hormones into a child and you're affecting the child's development, you're saying that's not a choice. That's nonsense. Of course it's a choice. You're choosing to chemically change this child's body.
As the discussion reached a boiling point, they even veered into a debate over the existence of alpha males.
Right.
It's not scientific, but it is true that women are hardwired to be attracted to confident, athletic men.
I don't know if I agree with that. But
really?
Yeah.
But if you ask girls, what are you into? And you say, are you into tall, muscular, confident men who are also nice to you? Jesus Christ, it's going to be off the charts. It's going to be like most of them.
I'm really not sure that's the case.
Not all tense moments on the Joe Rogan Experience come from heated debates. Sometimes the awkwardness is simply accidental. During episode number 1532, Joe mistakenly laughed at something Mike Tyson said, only to realize it was meant to be serious.
I did that video and I was in bed for a week. That was 30 seconds and I was in bed for a week. And it's not funny because it made me realize that this is big boy okay?
Big boy
This big boy was
there
out.
It is right there.
Yeah, that wasn't really cool.
The tension was immediate, and Joe quickly changed his tone, but things got even weirder moments later.
What does it mean when fighting gets you erect? What does that mean?
It's a good question.
It's orgasmic sometimes.
But saying that it gets you orgasmic, that's a strange thing to say.
Well, that's just what I want. I wanted to find out because you're really bright, and I thought you would figure it. No, I'm being very serious.
No, I know. I know you're being serious, but I mean, no one will understand that other than you.
What followed was one of the most awkward stretches of silence in the podcast's history.
Listen, Alexander the Great was 32 and he conquered the known world.
Yeah.
In 10 years.
And so thinking about that as a young man.
Absolutely.
Joe's conversation with Jordan Peterson also led to a bizarre moment of confusion, where they completely lost track of what they were talking about.
You can say, well, yeah, I've got all these flaws, but look at what I'm trying to do.
Right.
That's the real ground of self-respect. Well, I missed I'm off the track with the question. The ground of self-respect. I can't remember what you asked me. So we'll have to go to a different topic.
Joe, just as lost, tried to remember, but neither of them could figure out how they had gotten there, making for a truly surreal moment.
How did we get on this? We were...
You asked about the evolutionary basis of...
Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago.
I know, it's a rabbit hole that just doesn't disappear.
But where were we just now? Remember where we were just now?
No, sorry. I'm distracted by something else that's happening right now.
Oh, I know. We were talking about men.
Yes.
We were talking about men and what motivates them.
Joe's discussion with fungus expert Paul Stamets took an unexpected turn when Stamets refused to answer a question, claiming it could put his life in danger.
What are the negative benefit or the negative effects of this?
This is an explosive area of conversation, and that puts my life in danger. So I reserve the right not to answer your question.
Whoa. I didn't expect that. It puts your life in danger talking about portobello mushrooms? He's looking at me silently. I will respectfully move on.
Thank you.
Paul refused to elaborate, leaving Joe and the audience with more questions than answers.